Hey, everybody, welcome into the Thinking Crypto podcast, your home for cryptocurrency news and interviews. I'm your host, Tony Edward. On your way in, please hit that subscribe button as well as the thumbs up button and leave a comment below. If you're listening on a podcast platform such as Spotify or Apple, please leave a 5-star rating and review. Folks, I've been getting a lot of comments about ads on Spotify, and I apologize about that. I have the auto ad insertion set up, so I think it may have been a bit aggressive. So I'm looking to fix that, so please bear with me. Folks, I've got a lot of big news to share with you guys, all important, so watch and listen to the end. First up, DBS, Franklin Templeton, and Ripple team up to launch tokenized lending. This is huge news for the XRP Ledger. So DBS, Franklin Templeton, and Ripple have joined forces to roll out tokenized trading and lending services for institutional investors built on the XRP Ledger and powered by tokenized money market funds and stablecoins. This is huge, folks. The FUDsters, the people who are saying no one will use the XRP Ledger, it's all a scam. You got some of the biggest institutions now building on the XRP Ledger. This is why we don't get emotional. We don't listen to FUD. We look at facts, right? We want to be educated. So be careful with where you get your information from, because I'm giving you guys the facts here that's being reported, and this is huge news. So the trio signed a memorandum of understanding to help investors better manage market volatility by offering a way to shift funds between stablecoins and yield-generating assets, according to a Thursday announcement. Here's a quote: "Digital asset investors need solutions that can meet the unique demands of a borderless 24/7 asset class," said Lim Wee Kian, CEO of DBS Digital Exchange. This partnership demonstrates how tokenized securities can play that role while injecting greater efficiency and liquidity in global markets, Kian said. So, folks, huge adoption news here for the XRP Ledger. All of this will help drive the price of XRP higher. And I've been telling you guys the charts look very bullish for XRP. That's why you see a lot of Bitcoin maxis going after Ripple and XRP this cycle. They're scared because you got the XRP spot ETF coming around. You got adoption of the XRP Ledger. The SEC lawsuit is over. And, years ago, people would say, see, no one's building on the XRP Ledger. Yeah, no kidding, because there was a lawsuit around the company, so no one wanted to take that risk. But if I show you the data on rwa.xyz, you can go pull this up. This website tracks the tokenization and building on blockchains. It gives you the stats. You look at what has taken place this year for Ripple, and there has been a surge of building. The data doesn't lie. So we are seeing some really big things launching on the XRP Ledger by major institutions. And look at the names once again: DBS and Franklin Templeton. Those are not some crypto native small company startups. Those are legacy Tradfi institutions. So, folks, very bullish news for XRP. Now, let's move ahead. Grayscale prepares to stake Ether holdings amid shifting SEC stance. This is according to Arkham. They're seeing Grayscale shifting about 40,000 ETH, and it could signify that staking is going to get approved in Ethereum ETFs very soon. I think we know it's a matter of when, not if. The SEC has completely done a 180, and we are seeing that multiple altcoin ETFs are going to be approved, and a big one is going to be staking in Ethereum ETFs. So the on-chain data from Arkham Intelligence showed Grayscale transferred more than 40,000 Ether on Thursday, activity consistent with positioning for staking rewards. Arkham noted that if confirmed, Grayscale could be the first US Ethereum ETF sponsor to stake its holdings. Now, tomorrow, I will actually be interviewing one of the folks from Grayscale, and I've had him on the podcast before, so I'm going to ask him about this and all the details, and that interview should be published next week. I'm also going to talk about the SEC approving the Grayscale Crypto Large Cap Fund, and that includes XRP, Cardano, and much more. So I'll get you guys all the details. So this is very big, folks. And I think with staking getting approved in Ethereum ETFs, the inflows are going to surge into Ethereum. Moving ahead, we got some news here that potentially Metamask, which we know was built by Consensus, which is part of the Ethereum ecosystem. Joe Lubin, one of the founders of Ethereum, has confirmed a Metamask token is coming very soon. So this is interesting, and we'll see what type of token they do come out with. But I think a lot of folks are going to launch tokens now that we have clarity, so to speak, from the SEC, and not everything is going to be considered a security. Obviously, there's going to have to be reporting to the SEC, and certain determinations are going to have to be made. But clearly, folks are looking to launch tokens, so this is very interesting. We got some updates around SUI. Many of you know I hold SUI in my portfolio. I believe it's a project that's going to do very well this bull market cycle. It's already been doing well. Well, they are a launch partner for Google's new agentic payments protocol. So great adoption news here to have Google build on your blockchain. And, we saw just recently Google also partnered with Coinbase to do this on Base, which is the Ethereum layer 2 controlled by Coinbase. Now, I'll be interviewing someone from SUI, the SUI Foundation specifically, tomorrow as well. So I'll be publishing that interview for you guys next week. So I'm going to bring you all the details. Big things happening in the market, folks. We're still in a bull market, so I hope you are as excited as I am. Now, quick word from our sponsor, and that is Trezor. Trezor makes it easy for you to self-custody your crypto assets. I'm a big believer in self-custody. It's the safest way to store your assets because you control your private keys. And I'm a user of the Trezor Safe 5. It's a beautiful device, easy to use. And Trezor, they were the pioneers of crypto hardware wallets. They started this whole thing in 2013, building a hardware wallet, setting up the seed phrase setup, and they support a variety of tokens, folks. They support Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Solana, and much more, even new tokens. And they have a great software called Trezor Suite, which allows you to easily manage all of this on the device. And they have a hand-holding service. If you're new to all of this, you can speak to a Trezor rep who can walk you through the process. And don't worry, they're not asking for your private keys or anything like that, but they're there to hold your hand and answer any questions you have. So that's a great customer service feature that many crypto companies don't offer. So once again, I'm a user. And folks, if you use the code Thinking Crypto, all one word, Thinking Crypto, you can get 5% off a purchase of a device from Trezor. So if you'd like to learn more, check out the link in the description. Now, folks, we thought we were rid of Gary Gensler, but he's back. He crawled out from under his rock to go on CNBC today and spread a lot of his BS lies and FUD about crypto. And it's the same BS talking points, but this time around, it was very interesting. The hosts on CNBC were roasting him. They were actually like making fun of him. So first, let me play a short clip here of some of the nonsense he had to say.
So when I look at the field that trades mostly on momentum, mostly on, frankly, hype for investors.
You think this is dangerous, what they're doing?
I think that for investors, everyday investors, the 5 to 10% of Americans who invest in crypto, and it's hard to get the real, but that it's a highly speculative, very risky asset. And in most of these tokens, put aside Bitcoin, but most of the other tokens are not tied to any fundamentals. And there's 5 or 10,000 of these tokens. So usually over time, you find new equilibriums. Like Warren Buffett would say, what are the goods? What are the revenues? What are they selling? And so
they are reversing a lot of what you did. And how are you feeling about what they're doing now?
So I'm very proud of what we accomplished.
And the crypto community is ecstatic not to have you there anymore and to have him there. Looking back on it, I mean, do you think that was the right call?
Yes. I think
because look, now we have this like burgeoning industry, and there's so much more innovation and leadership in the U.S.
and a lot more capital coming into it.
There may be more capital in terms of the interest in the public. The public is interested. I get that, but for investors,
you think this is dangerous? What they're doing?
Put aside Bitcoin. But most of the other tokens are not tied to any fundamentals. Like Warren Buffett would say, what are the goods? What are the revenues? What are they selling? And so forth.
Did you catch what he said there at the end? Like trying to use Warren Buffett and talking about traditional business models. What are they selling? What's their revenue? Like, bro, that's not what's happening here. Blockchain networks are very different. And yes, there's a component of revenue and fees and so forth, but you can't compare it apples to apples to Amazon, which is a retailer selling products. So he's using the old tricks he was doing in the day, right? To refool the public, saying, you don't worry about these things, man. You want to invest in real companies that are selling products and generating revenue. Like, there's a paradigm shift happening. He knows this, folks. Remember, he was teaching these things at MIT, but all of a sudden he went against crypto. But let me give you some insights from folks I've been talking to in DC about what's happening here. So yesterday, I told you guys about Summer Mersinger, who I actually interviewed today, and that interview will be published next week, CEO of the Blockchain Association. She put out a op-ed in CoinDesk talking about the banks are trying to change the language in the stablecoin bill, even though they reviewed it before it was passed into law. What's happening here? Buyer's remorse, right? The banks are panicking again. They're trying to slow this all down. And of course, they have their puppet, Gary Gensler, the same guy that was working for them over the past 4 years with Elizabeth Warren, right? How many times have I told you guys? I've heard it from people in DC. The banking lobby weaponized Gensler and Elizabeth Warren and Sherrod Brown to attack crypto companies. That's why I've been saying, why would an old grandma like Elizabeth Warren be so crazy about crypto? The country has bigger issues, but she was so focused on that. She's getting that banking lobby money. That's what's going on. And Gensler is also part of that. So that's why you see Gensler all of a sudden pop out of nowhere. Isn't it funny, right? Is it a coincidence, the timing of this? The banks are trying to change the language in the stablecoin bill, and then Gensler pops up, and Elizabeth Warren is right behind, right? That train is never late. She's going to come out with some sort of FUD. So watch out. We're going to have to fight again. Two people I've spoken to this week who are doing advocacy in DC said the banks are coming back again trying to fight. So it was weaponize Elizabeth Warren, Gary Gensler, go attack the crypto startups, Operation Choke Point 2.0, cut off banking. We know a lot of that has ended, but they're not going down with a fight. Now, I know some of you are going to say, Tony, but we've seen so many news items of banks adopting crypto. And I tweeted out about it. I said, they are at a disadvantage right now because with the Genius Act in place, the favorable crypto environment, crypto companies are moving much faster, launching products, further iteration, bringing more services to the public. The banks are still waiting on the Clarity Act. They can't, they're doing trial and error testing, but they can't launch something into production yet. They can't release it to the public, right? So that's why all of a sudden, hey, slow it down again, right? We need to catch up because we've heard these banks want to launch crypto trading. They're tokenizing. They want to launch their own stablecoins. So of course, they're trying to change the stablecoin bill, right? How dare you go to an exchange platform and earn higher yield and APR than what you get in our checking and savings accounts? And of course, like I said, they got their scumbag puppet, Gary Gensler. It used to be scumbag regulator. Now I'm going to call him scumbag puppet. Gary Gensler and Elizabeth Warren to follow. They're going to go on the attack again. So watch out, folks. But they've already lost. They've already lost. Crypto's here to stay. The train is off the station. The genie's out the bottle. So the crypto is a force now, and all the banks are starting to bend the knee from an adoption standpoint, but it doesn't mean they're not going to fight politically to make sure they can capture the market and kick out the crypto startups. So we'll have to watch this closely. All right, moving ahead. PayPal expands PYUSD stablecoin to Tron, Avalanche, and 6 other chains. So clearly, competition's heating up here, guys. Game theory, no one wants to get left behind. So PayPal, of course, has one of the largest stablecoins out there. They have a huge network with Venmo. So of course, they're trying to expand their stablecoins to other blockchains that have interoperability to get more adoption. They're trying to go after Circle. They're trying to go after Ripple. They're trying to go after Tether, of course, right? It's game on, and the race is heating up. So the blockchains they're expanding to includes Tron, Avalanche, Aptos, Abstract, Inc., Say, and Stable. And they said while existing permissionless versions on Berachain, never heard of that, and Flow will upgrade to PYUSDO. A separate announcement on Thursday has revealed that PYUSD has expanded to Stellar. So big move by PayPal here, and they got the brand, and their stablecoin is issued by Paxos, and it's been doing well. So guys, it's amazing to see what's happening here. All right, look at this. London Stock Exchange lists new Bitcoin staking ETP. So stock exchanges, credit card companies, payment companies, banks, all launching products, and they're doing it globally. It's not in one region or one country. So DeFi technology subsidiary Valor has introduced a Bitcoin staking exchange traded product on the London Stock Exchange, providing investors with crypto yield opportunities as the UK moves towards easing restrictions on digital assets. According to a Thursday announcement, the Bitcoin staking ETP has a 1.4% annual yield and is backed by Bitcoin held in cold storage, with security coming from multi-party computation technology. Very, very bullish, guys. And remember, it starts at Bitcoin and then it will go to altcoins, right? So we've seen this time and time again. So expect eventually ETH, XRP, Solana, and much more. Now, Nubank plans stablecoin integration for credit card transactions. I laugh because it's like, oh my gosh, we were talking about these things for years back in 2018 that all of these firms would eventually bend the knee because this technology is the future. And you just see from across the globe, all these countries coming in. And Nubank, by the way, they're one of those neobanks, and actually Warren Buffett's firm is invested in it. So he's invested indirectly in crypto, and and it's just a sliver here with Nubank, but nevertheless, still exposure. Nubank, Latin America's largest digital bank, is reportedly planning to integrate dollar-pegged stablecoins and credit cards for payments. The move was disclosed by the bank's vice chairman and former governor of Brazil's central bank, Roberto Campos Neto. Speaking at the Meridian 2025 event on Wednesday, he highlighted the importance of blockchain technology in connecting digital assets with the traditional banking system. Let me repeat that for you guys. He highlighted the importance of blockchain technology in connecting digital assets with the traditional banking system. If you are still on the fence, I don't know what you're looking at. I don't know what you're reading or who you're listening to, but wake up, wake up, wake up. This technology is here to stay. This is the next layer on top of the internet. Blockchain rails will power the economies, markets, and governments. It's all going to run on blockchain, folks. And adoption is moving at a rapid pace here. Now, moving ahead, look at this. Bank of Canada implements stablecoin regulatory framework or get run over. So you see the urgency coming out from different folks around the globe, like adapt or die, right? I've often given the analogy of Blockbuster. Netflix came along and said, hey, you want to buy us? No, we don't want to. No one's going to use the internet. Nobody's going to go online to watch stuff. And we know what happened to Blockbuster and we know what happened to Netflix, right? So this is where many companies, banks, and much more, if they don't adapt to this thing, they're going to die. So Canada's central bank is calling for the country to establish a stablecoin regulatory framework to modernize the payment system and avoid falling behind other countries that are moving forward with such policies. Here's a quote. Even if you're on the right track, you'll get run over if you sit there. Ron Morrow, the executive director of payments, supervision, and oversight at the Bank of Canada, said in a speech on Thursday at the Chartered Professional Accountants Conference in Ottawa, Canada, a transcript of which was published on the central bank's website. Morrow called on federal and provincial regulators to create a policy framework for stablecoins. Here's a quote. At the end of the day, for stablecoins to be seen as money, they need to be as safe and stable as the balance in your bank account. Wow. So folks, game theory playing out here. Everybody's recognizing we better get on this train or we're going to get left behind. Moving ahead, final news item. Maelstrom and Imoca back Bio Protocol's bid to unite AI, biotech, and crypto. So we've seen DePIN and DeFi. Well, there's a new sector that's rising up called DeSci, decentralized science. And folks, Maelstrom, that's Arthur Hayes, and Imoca Brands, that is Yatsu, both of whom I've had on the podcast, big players in the crypto investment space, and they're putting a lot of money in different projects. So this is what we want to watch closely for the next bull market. So for example, in the bear market of 2022 and even early 2023, I took a bet on AI tokens because I thought that's going to be a big narrative. So I bought Fetch and Render, and those did well. They did well for my portfolio. So I'll give you a heads up. I'm going to be looking at decentralized science projects, which are not getting big views right now. New tokens are going to be launched. So it's a great opportunity. Not financial advice. You got to do your research, but I'm sharing with you guys my plan and strategy. You don't have to follow it, of course. And how I'm going to be positioning for the next bull market of 2028, 2030, and that timeline and so forth. But when I'm going to buy, not in the pumps, not in the top of the market, but when there's blood on the streets and everybody's fearful again and calling crypto a scam, right? I'll be buying, backing the truck up. I know I've said that many times, but I want to hammer at home what has helped me to make money in this market. And that's being a contrarian to the herd and not following Jim Cramer and mainstream media, but understanding the charts, the global liquidity, the different metrics and signals, who's making moves, the facts of who's investing and building, right? That's what we want to follow. So let me give you the details here. Decentralized science platform Bio Protocol secured backing from investors, including Maelstrom Fund and Animoca Brands, to expand its artificial intelligence native biotech research framework. Bio Protocol announced Wednesday that it had raised $6.9 million in funding, reflecting growing interest in decentralized approaches to drug discovery that integrate AI, blockchain, and community management. See what's happening here, right? New sectors, new industries are going to adopt blockchains, and there's going to be new coins and these things launch. Not everything's going to be a winner, but in a speculative phase, if you're early to certain tokens, they can rise up. And now I often say, hey, look, I stay away from meme coins and stuff like that, but I will invest in projects that have real world potential and impact, right? Clearly, and they're backed by very big VCs and hedge funds. So Maelstrom founder Arthur Hayes described Bio Protocol as a potential category-defining launchpad for scientific research. If it works, it's not just a launchpad, it's the birth of an AI-native research market, he said. Hayes also highlighted how it opens up research opportunities that communities find appealing, not just what academics find interesting. Very, very interesting news here, folks. And like I said, bookmark this, put this in your notes. Tony said, watch for decentralized science tokens and coins and projects, right? So if you stick with me, we can go through this process and I can highlight some of these new categories, which can give you some nice returns. Like I said, just like I took the bet on AI. And, in the previous bull market, it was like DeFi summer. And, in 2017, it was ICOs and so forth. So this is where we want to be educated. We want to follow what's developing in the market. Where are the VCs and the hedge funds putting their money and liquidity? So again, stick with me. We're gonna talk about all these things, and you guys know I'll let you know if I add certain tokens to my portfolio. I've been recently talking about Canton Network. And the big banks that are part of that network. And I'm going to try to grab that token, once that goes live. And so again, I will share some of these things. And again, not financial advice, right? I'm sharing what I'm doing, but I know I'm repeating myself and I apologize, but I just want to make sure you guys don't blindly go invest. And then if the project doesn't do well, you say, oh, I see Tony, he said this was going to do well or whatever. No, I want you to do your research. And if you doing your research find conviction in what the project's doing, you see the real world application and potential, you take a bet. And not everything's going to be a winner, right? We don't have a crystal ball, but at least we want to form our thesis, base it on facts and important things, not just let me throw it on black or red or the casino, right? That's not what we're doing here. So folks, that's the news. Let me know what you think. Leave your thoughts and comments below. Hit the thumbs up button. Folks, I'm sure some of you saw what I shared today. I will be speaking at the Money Show Virtual Expo next week. It's a virtual expo, so my session is on Wednesday, September 24th at 3:25 p.m. I'll put a link in the description. You can register for free if you want to tune in. So I'll be talking about crypto going mainstream from a niche asset to a global financial infrastructure. So trying to educate the masses about this technology and what's happening here. And I'm looking forward to, speaking to folks. So once again, if you want to join, check it out. Link will be in the description. Folks, a great way you can support me in the podcast is by subscribing to my free email newsletter. It is 100% free. Link will be in the description. Check out my book on Amazon. It's available in paperback and digital, and my course at mycryptocourse.com. This is a comprehensive course that teaches you every aspect of crypto. So if you'd like to expand your knowledge, check it out. Folks, thank you so much for watching and listening. I appreciate you all, and I'll talk to you all later.